Abraham, originally named Abram, is a central figure in the religious traditions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. His story is primarily told in the Hebrew Bible, particularly in the book of Genesis. Abraham is considered the patriarch of the Israelites, Ishmaelites, Edomites, and Midianites. His life spans several key events that showcase his faith, obedience, and relationship with God. Abraham's story begins in Ur of the Chaldeans, modern-day Iraq, where he was born to Terah and his wife. At God's command, Abraham, along with his wife Sarai, later Sarah, and nephew Lot, left his homeland to journey to the land of Canaan. God promised Abraham that he would become the father of a great nation. This promise was significant because Abraham and Sarah were childless, and they were both well advanced in age. In his travels, Abraham encountered various challenges, including famine in Canaan and a brief stay in Egypt, where he deceived Pharaoh about Sarah being his sister. Yet, despite these missteps, God's promise remained steadfast. Abraham was eventually given the covenant of circumcision as a sign of his commitment to God. One of the most pivotal events in Abraham's life is the birth of his son Isaac, born to him and Sarah in their old age, fulfilling God's promise. However, God's testing of Abraham's faith culminated in the command to sacrifice Isaac on Mount Moriah. Abraham demonstrated unwavering obedience, but at the last moment, God provided a ram to sacrifice in Isaac's place, marking the event as a defining moment of faith. Abraham's later years were marked by the death of Sarah, after which he remarried Keturah and fathered more children. He also played a role in securing a wife for Isaac, ensuring the continuation of God's covenant. Abraham died at the age of 175 and was buried beside Sarah in the cave of Machpelah in Hebron. Abraham's legacy is profound, as he is viewed as the father of faith in Christianity and Islam, where he is regarded as a prophet. His life story emphasizes themes of faith, trust in God's promises, and obedience, making him a central figure in the religious history of the Abrahamic faiths. The covenant between Abraham and God is a foundational theme in the biblical narrative, particularly in the book of Genesis. This covenant is both a promise from God and a commitment that Abraham, and through him his descendants, would uphold. It marks a key moment in the history of the Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, and outlines the unique relationship between God and Abraham, as well as the people who would descend from him. The covenant begins with God's call to Abraham in Genesis 12. God promises to make Abraham the father of a great nation, saying, "I will make of you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, so that you will be a blessing." Genesis 12 verse 2. This promise includes land, offspring, and divine protection. Despite Abraham and his wife Sarah being childless and well advanced in age, God assures them that their descendants will inherit the land of Canaan. In Genesis 15, God formalizes this promise through a covenant ritual. God instructs Abraham to bring specific animals, which are then cut in half and laid out, signifying a binding agreement. As the sun sets, God appears in a smoking fire pot and a blazing torch, passing between the house of the animals, symbolizing his commitment to the covenant. Abraham is assured that his descendants will be enslaved in Egypt for 400 years, but will ultimately return to the land promised to him. The covenant is further solidified in Genesis 17, where God reiterates his promises to Abraham and institutes the practice of circumcision as the sign of the covenant. God changes Abram's name to Abraham, meaning father of many nations, and Sarai's name to Sarah, meaning mother of nations. He promises that Sarah will bear Abraham a son, Isaac, through whom the covenant will be established. God also promises to bless Abraham's other offspring, including those through Hagar, Abraham's concubine, and their descendants would become nations as well. Abraham's faith in God and his willingness to obey, particularly when tested with the command to sacrifice his son Isaac, further exemplify the covenant's significance. Ultimately, the covenant with Abraham lays the foundation for the Jewish, Christian, and Islamic understanding of God's relationship with his people. The promises of land, descendants, and blessing are key themes throughout these faith traditions, and Abraham is considered the model of faith and obedience to God.